Good evening, welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Tonight is something a little different as we continue our Mayoralty candidate special with three more candidates running for Mayor of Hamilton City Council. Tony Dixon, Ian Hanley and Jack Guylan. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now, to allow all the candidates equal opportunity, we will follow the same format as last night and same questions. First off, if you could all tell us a little bit about yourself and why people should vote for you and why you want to be mayor. The trick is you have 1 minute on the clock. So, Tony, let's start with you.
Yeah. I'm Tony Dixon. I came to Hamilton with my wife and a young family 38 years ago, and I've learned to love the place and quite happy to stay and live in Hamilton. My family have grown up now and left the nest, but I'm quite happy to stay in Hamilton. My main concern, and the reason I'm standing for election, is the enormity of the city's debt and the willingness to leave it to a next generation to pay for the excesses of a previous administration. What do I offer? I think I offer a leadership style which is open to ideas. I've got an open mind and fresh on things. Got fresh mind, fresh ideas, and I think I could lead a good council. And there's many people who are standing for council who will make very good councillors.
Jack, your turn.
Yes, Jack Guylan. I'm standing for mayor and for council. I'm calling for a clean sweep of the council. We need a brand new broom. 4 particular areas. It's about the people, not just the 12 on council. I'm for community consultation, common resource pooling, creating better economic environment for the small businessmen with better support for families, rates for core services, rubbish, water, sewage, parks, bring down the rates so parents can afford to send their youth to the amenities. I'm for protecting our assets, the library, rose gardens, the water. I'm against water meters, and we are the Kaitiaki, the guardians of the land, and also the King Jesus Sovereignty Party for common law sovereigns, reducing the debt, free education, wealth levelling, leasing the land, and the New Jerusalem is the prototype for the city, because with the streets of gold, which represents gold nature, and also all the people together, or the river of the water of life, and the fountains, like all the trees and the gardens, and to beautify the city. That is my vision, the prototype of the New Jerusalem. Yeah.
Ian.
Well, good evening, Hilary. My name's Ian Hanley, and I'm standing as mayor and also as councillor for Hamilton East. Hamilton is an exciting place. It really rocks. And I think with a new council and with new thinking, we can really take Hamilton forward. The Maori King, through his son, released a paper on our taonga, the Waikato River. It's heavily polluted. We need to do something about that and work with the Maori people to right that wrong. We do not need water meters in Hamilton. I've experienced that in Auckland, and it's an awful thing. It's another tax, really. And we can fix the leaks and also get in grey water tanks if we want to water our gardens in the summer and wash our cars. We do need to think about the arts. I think we need a arts centre on the Waikato Museum site. And I think we need to do something about our tourism so that both the Riff Raff Square and Garden Place really sing. So I'm looking forward to leading a really exciting council with exciting ideas and really making a difference.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. And now stay tuned as after the break, we talk debt. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. We're back with 3 of the 8 candidates running for Hamilton City Council Mayor. A big issue for the Hamilton Council especially is debt. Jack, if you were elected, would you address the debt of Hamilton City Council?
Yes, I would look for ways to reduce the debt with better financial management. It's about income generation. Ways like, for instance, a regional rate petrol tax. Secondly, a commercial tax on big business, an incentive to people to pay the whole year's tax all at once, and because like with big business they're able to take the money back also, and when people pay all their tax at once during the year they get a slight incentive, a reduction, and also we would make money from that. And lots of young people attend university could pay a small amount which would contribute to the reduction of the debt. And I also believe in the bartering system. We used to have green dollars, which it's a bit like an invisible currency, really. So you perform an act or a service, and then someone else does something for you. So believing in the Jubilee principle of debt reduction and wealth levelling, because a bit like the Robin Hood principle in a sense, take from the rich to give to the poor, and so we can all be equal within society and all live happily together. Yeah.
Ian?
Yes, I certainly would be working to reduce debt, and I think that comes with a review, both internal and external, of core services of the council. I think our local business folk probably have something to say to us in that area, but we do have a very good university and a very good technical college, Wintec, and I'm sure there are some folk there who could help us as well to carry out that review. What I'd be concerned about is that we don't cut so much that people like pensioners would suffer. I think we have to have regard to those who have given so much to our city and yet now in retirement and have only their pensions to live on. So yeah, sensible, safe spending. You've got to anticipate, you've got to keep your infrastructure going, because if you don't, you're not going to have new builds. But I think we can do it in a way that makes our city even more successful than it is now.
Tony, is the debt something that obviously concerns you?
Yeah, it's a major concern. We've got $440 million of debt, and within 10 years there's no plans to reduce that debt. And that is despite the fact that the ratepayers have been offered now a 3.8% increase each year, every year for these 10 years. So we have to focus on debt, and we've got to start reducing it. It's a big problem. It won't go away, and it will only go down very slowly. My plan is quite simple. We look at where our income comes from, and our basic income comes from the ratepayers. One option I would look at is simply this. We're quite happy to put debt forward into the future. What I'm saying is, why can't we bring credit back to the present? In other words, offer for people an option to pay 2, 3, 5 years rates, or even 10 years rates in one hit at today's rate. There are people able to do that. There are people retiring with KiwiSaver contributions, with superannuation contributions. They're concerned about the future and about the costs that will escalate. What I'm saying is, there is an option there, a win-win situation, where they could pay their rates at this year's rate for a number of years ahead, and the council would then have money that they could invest and set against the debt.
I'm so sorry, Tony. We're going to have to cut you off there because that is your time allocated. Moving on to our next question. Hamilton is one of the fastest growing cities in New Zealand. It is the third. And a way to pay for the infrastructure could be rates. Ian, what is an acceptable amount of rate increase for you?
Well, I think for me, bearing in mind what I said before about pensioners, you've got to be reasonable about that. I mean, there's no point in if a pension increase goes up 2% and you put a rate increase of 5 to 10%, as they have in Auckland, 10%. I mean, that's just silly. So I think inflation, perhaps up to a maximum of 1% above that, might be a reasonable way of finding the funding that you need to attend to the growth of the city. Another way of doing it, of course, is forming partnerships with the business and see if some of the development issues can't be dealt with in partnership, so that perhaps those folk are providing the funding, but we provide the space for the growth to happen.
Jack, what's an acceptable amount of rate increase to you?
It's meeting the core services and it's working within the rate of inflation. And I think we've invested too much on big time projects like Claudelands and also the stadium. And so people, their rates, they've been charged too much because it's gone into the wrong areas to pay for a debt. So we've got to get back to what the people can afford to pay, and so long as it meets the requirements of infrastructure, the basic things, because a lot of people are telling me that we're not looking after the basic things like the water, the sewage, the library, the parks, and doing those things very well.
And Tony, what's an acceptable amount of rate increase to you?
The rates have to be appropriate to the costs of running the council. And one should imagine if the rates are meeting those costs, then the increase in rates should be well within the rate of inflation. The problem in the past, I think, is that rates have slipped behind the running costs for the council, and that's an issue that they've had to address by increasing rates at a higher than the rate of inflation.
Well, thank you very much. Now, after the break, we talk amalgamation. Welcome back. The Local Government Reform Bill initiated greater mayoralty powers and a new purpose statement for council. But one topic it left wide open and has caused a stir, especially in the Waikato, is amalgamation. Jack, do you support amalgamation in the Waikato?
No, I'm against the idea of the super council being 4 community boards, and I believe we need to retain the individuality of the different areas in order because resources need to be spent on the different areas, so people look after their own infrastructure, and like Tikawiti, Te Amutu, Matamata and all the different areas. So with amalgamation, you kind of lose out on that individuality, and as we've found, when money is spent on big time projects and not on the basic things, the little things, it all gets swallowed up into debt. So yeah, I'm for individuality of the different areas. I'm against the super council, and one way to cross the bridge would be to have community boards, representation in the different areas, but come under a common head. Yeah.
Ian, are you for amalgamation?
Well, having lived in Auckland, my answer to that is definitely no. There is a real loss of input into council decisions when that actually happens. But what I am for is better communication between the councils. You know, egos can sometimes get in the way of really good ideas, and I think if we talk to people, relate to the other councils, we can find a common way forward that will make a difference.
Tony, are you for amalgamation in the Waikato?
No, I think democracy started in our cities and towns, and like it started perhaps in Rome before Italy and Athens before Greece, and to suddenly change it to an arbitrary region, I think we'll lose the personal touch that democracy provides, and I think an amalgamation would ruin the opportunity for many of the smaller towns to have a say, and I think there would be a feeling that Hamilton would take over, and I'm really against that. I think we should all be able to have our say, and the present system enables us to do that.
Do you think the Waikato Mayoral Forum goes far enough?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that there isn't a lot more communication between the regional councils, and I'm amazed that this mayoral forum is basically the only thing that happens. And I'm also very conscious now of a big brother approach almost from Hamilton, and that becomes a concern for me. I think, as Ian was saying, that there's a lot more communication to be done informally within the region, and that should help. And
do you think that the Waikato Mayoral Forum goes far enough when it comes to sharing ideas?
Well, I think that's an excellent question, Hilary, and my answer to that is mayors can achieve nothing without the support of their councillors and often their CEOs as well. And I would like to see a Marae-style meeting of minds, so councillors, mayors, council staff, perhaps Wintec and the university as well, and other key invited people, where over 2 days on a marae we work together, talk together, and come up with solutions that really suit us working together. It's about communication, 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 and get out of the way and remember who it is that you're serving.
And what do you have to say, Jack, about the Mayoral Forum? Is it sufficient in sharing ideas?
Well, it's a good way of bringing everything out, but I think we need more of a focus on the sorts of problems that are affecting the city, and I do believe that we need to come together more effectively for that communication between the councillors and the mayors, because I mean we're all focused on votes, even myself, Jack Gielan, for mayor and for Hamilton East Council, but the personalities, they get swallowed up in it, and I think we've got to come back to basics, to foundations, to what are the real issues, like the debts and like looking after the infrastructure and this sort of thing, and then working more effectively to find solutions to those problems. So I think we could do a lot more preparatory work so that we bring all the issues out beforehand and then preempt the issues and then find solutions for those issues. Yeah.
Stay tuned, because up next we put our viewers' questions to the candidates. If you have just joined us, you are with TV Central's Central News. And tonight I am joined by 3 of the 8 Hamilton City Council's mayoral candidates. If you are a Hamiltonian, you are probably well aware of the fluoridated water debate over the Hamilton water supply. One Hamilton viewer is worried about the debate getting out of hand and a cost-effective solution. Tony, what is your solution and where do you stand on fluoride?
Yeah, I think every individual has the right to have clean water, and it's the council's responsibility to provide clean water for the population. And I don't believe that we should contaminate that water by what may be seen as a perception of a healthy drug. I'm against fluoridation. I'm against any contamination of water, and I'm against any mass medication that the individual has no right to have a say about.
Jack, are you against fluoride, and was the referendum the most cost-effective way?
I'm definitely against it, because fluoride doesn't prevent tooth decay but harms people internally, and I believe it's a control issue, not a health issue, because they don't have it in the rest of the country and they don't have it in many countries around the world. So it's a way of dumbing down the masses and keeping them under control. I think that we could look at other ways of administering it, like, for instance, focusing on better health in schools and teaching people how to brush their teeth and stay away from sweets. Everybody is aware of those things. So, but I am definitely against it, and I feel, why have they brought it here in Hamilton? Because if it goes ahead here, apparently it brings it in right around the country. So to me, it's a control and a dumbing down issue, and it's the power, the elitists who are dictating to us how we should eat, what we drink, and I believe in natural water. It's God-given, and we shouldn't contaminate it.
Ian, what's your stance on the fluoride debate?
Hilary, your viewers will know that if they've lived in Hamilton since 1966, that's when it was first introduced. And you don't see anybody talking with you this evening that's got 3 heads and 15 arms. In terms of cost, it's $48,000, and I do think that because it's a health issue, that should be negotiated with the government. But however, in terms of the damage that removing fluoride will do, it will cost about $500,000 in healthcare costs because of that decision. So I'm absolutely in favour of this vote, and I think it will be overwhelming in favour of supporting fluoride in the water.
Moving on to our next viewer's question, who is a Hamilton student. Now, they want to know if you think that the Hamilton public transport is sufficient, and even the greater roading system. Is there a commuter problem? Jack?
The existing roading that we do have in different parts of the city, it's like you can't actually get onto the road in some parts, and you have these huge bumpers in the centre of the road, and buses can't negotiate around it. So a lot of the money spent on roading hasn't been done effectively enough. We haven't had the right sort of roading or objects put in place where they should have gone. So to me, we're not commuting, or there's not that free flow of traffic that should happen. And we have a driving problem in New Zealand because the drivers...
I'm so sorry, Jack, we've got to cut you off there.
Okay.
Well, that's your time. But Ian, do you think the public transport's sufficient? And do you think
I
our
think it
communities...
needs to review, because there's been new housing areas and the buses doesn't meet that need. But I think we need to stay with the regional council model, where the council funds the buses. And but the council and the regional councils need to talk with each other so that they actually service the needs of the clients. In Palmerston North, students have free access to buses, as do the staff, as they do in Whanganui with the Technical College. And I think that's something we could do here. That was a negotiation between those teaching institutions or tertiary institutions and the regional council. So I think there's lots can be done. Let's have a express bus to Auckland and from Auckland to Hamilton, because people want to live here. And let's really upgrade our buses so that the tourists come and enjoy their time in Hamilton.
Tony, do you think it's sufficient, the public transport?
Obviously, any public transport system will always be under review, because the city's getting bigger, and so we do need new bus routes. But people now live only a short distance away from a bus stop, and therefore the ability to move around town. And I'm quite impressed with the system, and I'm quite impressed by the fact that it is a regional system, and the transport is a regional issue and should be kept as a regional issue.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight. Thank you very much to the three of you, Tony Dixon, Ian Hanley and Jack Guylan. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best for the rest of your campaign.
Thank you very much. Yep.
If you wish to see what the other candidates, Julie Hardacre, Ewan Wilson and Dave McPherson, had to say last night, you can do so on our website, tvcentral.co.nz, or on our Facebook page. Next week, we continue with the Western Bay of Plenty District, Waikato and South Waikato districts, and Matamata Piako district. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend. And remember to vote.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.